Okay, what up, ladies and gents? Your favorite Asian robot right here. Hopefully, your favorite official content creator for the First Descendant. And today, what we're going to do is go through the Blair build that I've been using on the Ice Maiden, which you guys have seen on stream. This is by no means the best build. You are not going to get super fast clear times with this. In fact, my build is probably worse than some of the other builds out there that are fully optimized. But if you are lazy, like me, and you are at that point in life where you don't really want to put in extra effort into TFD, then you can literally make this with what is essentially my Blair's farming build, and you can basically port it over. So again, I'm going to say it straight. This is by no means the most effective build. This is a lazy option that you can use if you just if you already have my Blair farming build and you're like, I want to kill this boss. And you're like, I don't mind doing it in a team. Okay, then in that case, please use this build, all right? Okay, before we get into the build, please do take note that I'm currently making AI music. We are growing every single day. More and more people are playing my tracks. This is my SoundCloud. Okay, you can also get me on my YouTube music channel, Chen Siddhartha Music. There is plenty of my music here. I release almost every day, except when I'm busy with like TFD updates and stuff like that. But here's the thing. These two channels are where you get my songs early. For Spotify and for Apple Music, these are released on a per album basis, and I'm currently trying to get trigger warnings out. Hopefully by next week. It's been a bit of a struggle, but you know, you can also listen to me on official platforms, just that the releases are much slower. All right, so take note of that. Okay, let's get straight into the build. So all of you should recognize this build from before. This is the exact same Blair build that I had with a few minor tweaks. So let me get into it and let me explain exactly what we've got. Okay, so here we go. The reactor, I'm using Blair's old reactor, which is fire, skill, power boost, and skill cooldown. This is not efficient at all. If we want to talk about efficiency, then actually I would very much prefer skill cooldown and skill critical hit damage, which I actually have one of. It's here. Sorry, I actually made this. You can slap it in there. Just make sure you have the optimization condition met. In this particular case, we do not have a tactical rifle. The weapon for this build doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to use the Secret Garden, which, again, we're not going to shoot our gun, but it does have 2 sprint speed cores, which will help me move around the map a little bit faster. Okay, skill cooldown, skill critical hit damage is what I found works really well for me. I cannot give up the cooldowns because I feel that if I have full cooldowns, then it's a lot easier to work with Blair. Okay, then for my external components, what I've actually got is a 2 set of Hunter and 2 set of Ascending Armory. You can actually swap out the 2 set Hunter if you so choose and go for 2 set Enlightened Mage just to get additional skill power. This is entirely your choice, but you'll be losing about 4% cooldown. Does it feel bad to lose the 4% cooldown? Kinda, but it really depends on you. I will show you without using Enlightened Mage. But this is a very balanced method of doing it. The rest is for hit points so that you can actually survive whatever's thrown at you, okay? Then in terms of the weapon, again, it doesn't matter because you're not going to shoot your gun, all right? All you really want is the sprint speed. The only time you have to shoot your gun is to proc the fire focus rounds, sorry, the enhanced focus rounds debuff to bypass immunity because this will help Blair deal more damage. So take note, if no one is debuffing the boss, then please make sure you debuff the boss yourself, okay? So that's all your gun is used for. In terms of external component stats, make sure your auxiliary power has max hit points, okay? Max hit points, MP recovery out of combat, max hit points, max MP, MP recovery in combat, defense as your role and MP recovery modifier. Hunter memory comes with max shield default, so you can't help that. And of course, we've got max hit points on the processor with max shield. And technically, you can use shield recovery modifier, but I just used the farming one that I had because I really cannot be bothered farming an extra one. Okay, that is about it. Now, let me go into the modules. All right, for the modules, here's what you're going to need. I'm going to remove my cam for this. But basically, you are going to use killer recipe. That was the farming build. This is the bossing build. You're going to be using Killer Recipe as your Transcendent and Midair Maneuvering as your sub-slot. Other people prefer other grapples, but I like this one, and I always use this one. Okay, in terms of survival, I have Stim Accelerant. Why do I use Stim Accelerant, which reduces my max MP? Because it doesn't really matter for Blair. His max MP has nothing to do with his... build, and quite frankly, this gives you enough survival to withstand Ice Maiden. So I like Stim Accelerant in this build. And again, Blair can continuously restore his own MP, so it's not even a problem. Nimble Fingers MP conversion is very necessary because you want to bring the cooldown of Deadly Feast down from 70 seconds down to about 7 seconds, if at all possible. Okay, you want to also have maximized duration and skill extension. Why is that the case? Because take note that these skills all have a particular duration for which they are triggered. During their duration, you'll be able to cast more of your spicy meatballs or keep your burn taste up for longer. All right, all of this is necessary because it will help you deal more damage. Okay, and the fire count of your meatballs increases by 17% of the caster's duration. So you kind of want this. You want to have that spicy meatball. All right, so duration is pretty good for this build. Skill extension, maximize duration. Then I have focus on fire, focus on dimension for even more cooldowns to bring your Deadly Feast down as much as possible. 90% is the cap on cooldown. So with this, we have reached that cap, and that's why it's 7 seconds. You need that because this is your big damage dealer. All right. Last but not least, you want skill insight, front lines, and skill concentration. This will ensure that you hit crits with this particular build. All right, you want to crit as much as possible because Blair functions well with that. Okay, not having enough crits will probably not be great. Now, if there was one thing I could sacrifice, I might be willing to sacrifice one of the duration mods for another critical module to further up the crit rate as well as up the crit damage, but I find that this build works well with whatever I had on my farming build, so it helped me structure Blair's build just nice, and that was good enough for me. I didn't want to modify it too much, okay? So now that you understand the build and all that stuff, let's take a look at the other stuff, Inversion Reinforcer and Arche tuning. For your Inversion Reinforcer, here's what you are going to need. You are going to need your fire focus rounds. This is just so that you can debuff the enemy if necessary. I chose Selective Neurostimulation just for a bit of extra MP, and Adrenaline Rush here because I just had a spare spot. If you find that you want to survive a bit more, you can go for Antibody Explosion as well. This is totally fine. You can run something like this and you're good to go. Inversion Reinforcer doesn't play as much of a big effect on this particular loadout because again, it's a lazy, simple build. Arche tuning. Okay, for your Arche tuning, this is what I have got. The reason why I chose this particular loadout is so that I can have more duration, as much skill power as I want, some additional MP here as well, cooldowns, and I skipped this side so that in future, if I want to, I can choose to go all the way up and get a mutant cell slot. But this one gives 500 skill power and costs only 1 point. This one gives 643 and costs 5 points. Okay, so I think you can see that there is a lot that you're sacrificing, and you're going to spend additional skill points to get there from either range or skill attack versus Colossus, and I don't have that on my Reactor right now. All right, if you grab these nodes without additional skill attack on the Colossus on your Reactor, it will not be useful. So yeah, that is one of the problems. Okay, so I chose to sacrifice this node so I could get this and get all the other stuff as well as more duration on my build. Okay, so this is what I've got. Again, it's probably by no means the most efficient, but it works really well for me. Okie dokie day. Now, when you go into the Ice Maiden, take note that I'm going to go in public intercept for this. I find it easier to go into public because the Ice Maiden has 1.5 billion hit points and shields combined when it is a single participant, which means you're soloing. But if you go in a 4-man stack, she has just, well, slightly over 3 billion. So it's a lot easier for 4 people than it is for 1. However, if you guys have seen it before, there is a respectable YouTuber that does have an excellent solo guide. I couldn't do it because I really don't want to, bother playing that skillfully. But the use of the Executioner and the Ancient Knight with a strong Serena build does bring the kill time down to about 15 seconds, which is absolutely amazing. If you guys want to solo, then follow that guide. If you guys want to be lazy, then just click Public Intercept, and off we go. All right, let's kick this thing's ass. I'll show you how it's done, robot style. And robot style is always the lazy style. Wow. My dramatic moment is dampened by the fact that there's a matchmaking time. Man, it was so fast this morning. Didn't even there we go. Didn't even have to wait, and now I'm just sitting here.
I will end you.
Okay, when the fight starts, here's what you do. Okay, you stand here looking cool. Dash in. Start by using your meatballs at a distance. When you get close enough, you want to use your third skill instead. But the secret to Ice Maiden is that the more parts of it that explode, the more skill damage you deal. So make sure to help explode all of its parts, alright, all the breakable parts, and you're good to go. Then, every time you've got maximum amount of meatballs, cast your fourth skill. And that's basically the methodology, alright? That's literally it. That's how you play against Ice Maiden. Okay? Make sure to monitor your MP levels. You don't want to be losing too much MP. Now, keep an eye out for when she bends backwards, because when she does, that is when she will use her Ice Dome. So when you see her do the backward bend, that's when you got to start panicking. Alright, there's the backward bend right there. Now this is where the fun begins. Alright, you can even cast in the air and do a really cool flip with Blair. The projectiles will track her, so you can track where she teleports to, and that's perfectly fine. And there you go. That's it. This is a 1 minute clear. Easy peasy. If we had a Serena, this would have been 30 seconds. Alright, Ice Maiden is so easy right now, as long as you know what you're doing. And my damage here wasn't bad either. I think I did about a 1.4 bill. So although this is by no means the best build, I did about approximately 50% of the damage, which means that other players contributed less. So you can still do quite a bit with all this, and I think that this is important with this build. So like I said, it's a very lazy build. It's a very simple build. No stress, you know, just play and win. All right. Now you can, of course, do even more damage by doing things like putting on the Slayer set and having a perfected reactor and all that kind of stuff. But for me, this was good enough. You know, I don't have to be the top killer in the team or whatever. So I hope this helps you guys that were looking for the build. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. I hope you guys will continue to support us. We have a list of the top channel members, but unfortunately it's not working right now. You guys know who you are, though. They're displayed every stream, and I'll get it working by tomorrow. So in tomorrow's video, on Sunday's video, you guys will be able to see them. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Don't do anything weird while I'm gone, okay? Bye!